Thanks, Julie, and good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us this afternoon. So really just to start, comprehension, as I'm sure you're already aware, is one of the 5 pillars or components of reading, the others being phonological awareness, decoding, vocabulary and fluency. And the 5 components are interlinked strands which, woven together, allow a child to develop as a proficient reader. Tonight's webinar will focus on comprehension. However, as you would expect, there's much crossover between the components. So let's begin with the why reading comprehension. And reading comprehension, as it says here, is vital in terms of allowing us to take meaning from and connect with texts. Good comprehension is essential if reading is to be enjoyable and purposeful, engaging, meaningful, and of course, most importantly, enjoyable as well. And reading comprehension, as it says here in the slide, is defined by Snow as the process of simultaneously extracting and constructing meaning through interaction and involvement with written text. What is the purpose or reason for reading if not to understand and extend our thinking? There is a wealth of research, which David's already mentioned, which confirms that the explicit teaching of strategies can improve or does improve reading comprehension. And this was confirmed by the National Reading Panel, which was tasked with assessing the effectiveness of different approaches used to teach children to read. And you can find a summary of this research using the QR code on the slide. Thanks, Julie. So this next infographic, which was kindly shared by the Highland Council, uses a balance scale to show the dynamic and at times sugary, if that's a technical word, relationship between learning to read and reading to learn. So on the left-hand side of the slide, we've got the balance scale tipping towards the left, early level, first level, learning to read. And at this stage, beginner readers are developing their phonological awareness and their decoding skills. Comprehension is still developed orally through discussion of texts. However, because readers are not able to yet decode to automaticity, they are doing that very much orally. However, then later in first and at second level, the balance tips to the other side and pupils move from learning to read to reading to learn. And now readers can decode the majority of text with relative ease, so the focus now shifts to comprehension or reading to learn. And I think it's important to mention that the balance is not stuck at one side. It can tip between learning to read and reading to learn, depending on the text and many other things. So a little later in this webinar, we will explore how you can support pupils as they move to that side of the scale when pupils read to learn through the explicit teaching of comprehension strategies. Thanks, Julie.
Yeah, and sorry, Julie, I think could we just drop one slide back a wee second, please? Sorry.
Oh.
Thank you. Yeah, sorry, I was also going to just add in this slide that we've got here. Just important to note that learners arrive at school already using comprehension strategies. They already come to us with things that they do to understand. And they then learn how to decode in order to access text, whether they're written or printed. And once they can sufficiently decode, we then need to explicitly develop those comprehension skills. And as much, decoding is an essential step to take to be able to access a text at word level. However, it's a finite, limited set of skills. It doesn't necessarily support readers in making meaning from a text, whereas comprehension draws from a much deeper fund of knowledge. So you're trying to develop that frame of reference that learners have for texts. And, it's ongoing. The more that you read, the more challenging texts that you access, the more your comprehension develops. Could I have the next slide, please, Julie? Thank you. So I really like the way that this frames the whole topic and sort of gives a wee bit of weight to what I was saying a wee second ago. But reading comprehension attends to each of the 3 domains highlighted in the Strathclyde model in a way that maybe other strands that Laura discussed in that first slide don't. It supports development of cognitive knowledge and skills, but it also contributes to personal and social identity by helping learners form opinions about text and cultural capital through the dialogue and discussion that they have round about the text that they read. It also values the literacy, and I think this is really important, it values the literacy practices in their own homes and communities. So no student arrives at a text with nothing. Pupils aren't empty vessels to be filled up with what we value around about a text. They will always have something to say about it, even if it's just curiosity. And I think that leveraging this should almost always be our starting point when we're discussing a text with pupils. And I think what's really crucial is the links it helps learners to make between texts. It has impact in the classroom when it links to texts that they value or that they enjoy to texts that they then study. So you're taking those skills that they have sort of kind of picked up and you're applying them to what they're using for that in school. Next slide, please, Julie. So when we think about reading to learn, reading comprehension strategies are really effective in bridging the literacy experience gap. The opportunity for dialogue is really quite vital in opening up new discussions and new ideas for learners who maybe haven't had the same experiences as their peers. I also think that of those advanced readers that I've taught, and for whom maybe at a certain level this might not have been necessary at a certain level of text, but we all reach that stage where texts become much more challenging for us. And even if it seems easy or straightforward at first, due to the experience that we have, it's important that all readers have these strategies in their reading toolkit for when we do need them.